Hey, good people, welcome to the channel. I'm Musically Malnourished, and you're on my journey to go deep and wide in discovering new music and artists. Today, we're looking at, for the first time, Florence and the Machine with her 2022 album titled Dance Fever. Now, this is a Patreon pick, which means our Patreon members voted this in as a Wednesday album. Patreon members vote in the albums we listen to each and every Wednesday, so you can thank them for this one. I did recognize one song when I was kind of poking through her library and just curious if I had seen anything from her. She had Dog Days Are Over from 2008. I recognized that song, but I think that's the only thing I've heard from her. And it looked like maybe she had a feature on The Weeknd's latest album, which we've done the 3 mixtapes, and then the first album, Kissland, from The Weeknd. It looked like maybe she did something with Taylor Swift, but not really certain. So excited to see what we have in store. I think we'll have a lot of good content because we'll listen to each song, make a few comments along the way. I'll keep some notes in my handy dandy notebook. That way, after each song, we can kind of talk about the things that stand out. But I noticed on the Genius pages for this album, it looks like there's possibly some good interview content. So hope that's the truth, and we'll kind of get some good insider information from her herself, straight from her. That's how I prefer it, right from the artist. So anyways, I guess if you want to, you can skip to specific songs. The timestamps are in the description, or you can just press play and hang out with us for a bit. But let's go ahead and get in. This is track number 1, titled King.
We argue in the kitchen about whether to have children, about the world ending in the scale of my ambition.
It's beautiful voice.
Really worth. The very thing you're best at is the thing that hurts the most. You need your rotten heart,
Art.
your dazzling pain like diamond rings. You need to go to war to find material to sing.
Wow.
I'm a mother, I'm a bride, I'm king. I need my golden crown of sorrow, my bloody sword to swing, my empty halls to echo with grand self-mythology. I am no mother.
Dude, she knows how to deliver.
I am king.
She's no noob either.
I am no mother. I am no bride. That a woman is a changeling, always shifting shape. Just when you think you have it figured out, something new begins to take. What strange claws are these, scratching at my skin? I never knew my killer would be coming
Wow.
from within. I am no mother, I'm a bride, I'm king.
Oh, it's almost like a sadness.
I'm no mother, I'm a bride, I'm king. I need my golden crown of sorrow, my bloody sword to swing. I need my empty halls to echo with grand self-mythology, 'cause I am no mother.
Dude, this is awesome.
I am no bride, I am king. I am no mother, I am no bride, I am king. I am no mother, I am no bride.
We're only halfway through. I'm interested to see what she has in store.
I'm no mother, I'm no bride, I'm king.
I love that, like, it's really subtle. lots of instrumentation, big sound. Just like the perfect amount of distortion on that guitar too. Slides on the acoustic.
I was never as good as I was.
It's great atmosphere, man.
But I know how to dress it up. I was never satisfied. Never let me go. Just drag me by my hair and back home.
Like a wrestling with artistry. We are in for a good time, aren't we? Dang, dude. Yeah, I already mentioned some of those, but that like wasn't present the entire track, but when it came in, it was so subtle, but it was just this great, I don't know, I loved it. And just the perfect distortion on the guitar, again, was not like overpowering the whole time, but in the big parts, big strumming, you could hear it coming through, and then just at other times, it was like really accented. It was kind of an accent. You know who she reminds me of? Not necessarily in looks, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. Galadriel. You guys know what I'm talking about? Lord of the Rings. Just this beautiful woman, but incredibly powerful, and that's part of it. Like, she's presented the queen of the elves, so feminine, but the amount of power that she has is like, that's the beautiful thing about it. Not in this series. They ruined her in this series. It's this version of her. Because that's kind of what added to the power, was this femininity that she brought, but then knowing the stature in which she held herself with. So I say all that to say, like, when I hear Florence's voice, it just feels like she could do anything with it. Like, even as she's singing in the song, it's so clear and it's so big, but it's that kind of voice that almost feels effortless, that if she wants to, and maybe she does on this album, she can just let it go so big. So that's what came to mind. But let's jump in here. King is the first single. The lyrics depict Florence, which the Machine, from what I understand, is like the band that maybe has some rotating members or some they move in and out. So this is her 5th studio album. The lyric depict Florence Welch struggling with the desire of going on with her career and a silent wish of having children. As explained by the artist in April 2022 interview with Vogue, in her head, those feelings are opposite and don't go well together. Because she can't see how kids could fit into her lifestyle. The whole crux of the song is that you're torn between the two. The thing I've always been sure of is my work, but I do start to feel this shifting of priorities, this sense of like, maybe I want something different. Go for it, girl. The song was first teased in a letter sent out to some fans on February 2022 that said Chapter 1 and had a card inside. Can we see that card? Hey. I love it. It says King. It's such a beautiful image too, just the idea. It almost looks like a playing card in a sense, but to say king and then it's her, and to wonder like, okay, well, what is she exactly saying? But it seems like the heart of the song is, so what, I am no bride, I am no mother, I am king. The feeling that she is king of her domain, king of her craft. But then obviously when you introduce a spouse, you introduce children, it just changes the dynamics, and deservingly, they require all of you. That doesn't mean you can't pursue your art and things, but it does change. And sometimes for seasons, because I think to do parenting correctly, it should consume you. And it is the hardest but most rewarding thing, you know, especially if you can raise human beings that you want to be around. That's the goal, right? On the following day, billboards throughout London had the same card displayed, and the band's website was updated with 15 cards. The first one being The King, an announcement that new music would be coming soon. The single artwork was shot by American director and photographer Autumn Wilde, who had already previously worked with Florence by directing the music video for Big God. She also directed the music video for King. Cool. So we'll work to get music videos, live performances, interviews, because I think she has a Zane Lowe interview up on Patreon. She said, as an artist, I never actually thought about my gender that much. I just got on with it. I was as good as the men, and I just went out there and matched them every time. But now, thinking about being a woman in my 30s in the future, I suddenly feel this tearing of my identity and my desires. That to be a performer, but also to want a family, might not be as simple for me as it is for my male counterparts. I had modeled myself almost exclusively on male performers. For the first time, I felt a wall come down between me and my idols, as I have to make decisions they did not. She also said, sometimes songs just arrive fully formed, and it's always when you think you'll never write a song again. I love, this kind of artistry, which I can respect both, I think like Eminem is known for, and I don't know if it's been this way his entire career, but from my understanding, and obviously because priorities in life change and things like that, that he really treats his music, not that there's not passion in it, but like a job. He's very disciplined, that he goes into the studio at like the same time, leaves at the same time, wants to go spend time with his family. And then I also respect the art, because there's that kind of thing that's like, if you want to produce a painting, put the brush to the canvas and paint. And there's that discipline of it that produces a work, or authors that write a certain amount of words every day. They may not use all the words, but the act of writing is what eventually produces the work. They're constantly working on it. But I also appreciate those that like don't really create until they're moved. Now, it doesn't mean they're not creating at all times, but you know what I mean? There's just this boom, this thing that comes to you and you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's time. I felt like my creative abilities were finally at the peak of how I understood myself as an artist and what I wanted to do. But if I wanted to have a family, there was this sense that I was being irresponsible with my time by choosing this thing that I've known my whole life, which is performance, which is making songs, which is striving to be the best performer I can be. Somehow it'd be your fault if you miss the boat. I think that scream at the end of King is just one of frustration and confusion as well. I was thinking about Nick Cave and Leonard Cohen. I was thinking about how they can commit their body entirely to the stage. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have to make choices. It's a statement of confidence, but also of humor that the album has of, if I'm going to sacrifice these other things in my life, I have to be the best. It's like, why not me? Why can't I be king? Cool, we got some live performances there. This song and album are going to be so good. She came for our throats. A new era is beginning. It's our moment, girlies. Shaking, crying, throwing them up. Cool. I'm sure a lot of those are from when the single was released. All right, well, we are off to a magical start. Let's see what she has in store for us with track number 2. This is Free. Again, that distortion. I love it.
Sometimes I wonder if I should be medicated, if I would feel better just slightly sedated. The feeling comes so fast and I cannot control it. I'm on fire, but I'm trying not to show it. As it picks me up, puts me down, it picks me up, puts me down, picks me up.
It's really catchy. fit this urge to create? Yeah, the sonicscapes are so good. They're so big and full. My daughter's gonna love this.
Is this how it's always been? To exist in the face of suffering and death and somehow still keep singing. Oh, like Christ upon a cross, who died for us, who died for what? Oh, don't you wanna call it off? But there's nothing else that I know how to do but to open up my arms and give it all to you. 'Cause I hear music, I feel the beat, and for a moment when I'm dancing, I'm free.
So fun, man. I'm really curious to see what she's talking about because it does feel like, to an extent, at least in the first part of the song, maybe there's a real struggle that she's dealing with, which oftentimes, are put in upbeat songs. I'm a lot of breath. I have to imagine that Aurora fans must resonate with Florence. We went through all of Aurora's music here on the channel, and there's kind of that same spirit that seems to be, obviously they're very different in their music, but there are a lot of similarities as well so far. Excuse me. Okay. 5 days before being released as Dance Fever's fourth single, Florence and the Machine debuted Free, along with Girls Against God. Live during their intimate show at Newcastle's O2 City Hall. Following day, the band played Free again during a second intimate show. Before performing the uplifting track, Florence commented, "This one's about my anxiety." The lyrical content of the song explores how dancing affects Florence Welch and her anxiety, as seen in the chorus. This directly relates to Dance Fever itself. I'm so sick of this ad, by the way. This stupid mobile game that is probably nothing like that when you actually click on it. Okay, where was I? Sorry, that was a little rant. The music video of the song features English actor Bill Nighy playing Florence's anxiety character. The music video is, as displayed on its final seconds, dedicated to the spirit, creativity, and perseverance of our brave Ukrainian friends. Filmed in Kiev, On 18th of November with Ukrainian filmmakers and artists whose radiant freedom can never be extinguished. The song's title was officially revealed on the 11th of April when Dance Fever's tracklist started being unveiled. Okay. Ironically, Free was actually the last song I wrote before the first lockdown. It's a song about my anxiety and how I process it. And this feeling that it's just something that's been with me my whole life. And even as my life stabilizes and it's essentially calmer, anxiety's just still there. I was trying to understand what it is and how essentially when I'm playing or I'm making music or I'm in the flow of creativity, it goes away. So it's kind of this push and pull throughout the song of the anxiety and then the song itself taking it out the way and dancing and feeling free. That's so interesting, because I commented that it was kind of the first part of the song where you really felt this struggle, and then it kind of erupts into this whole different thing. And it's cool how she's saying that. It's like that was the point of the song, because her feeling this anxiety, but then when she gets in these flow states, it seems to disappear and she gets lost for a moment, at least in the dance. It came through really well. Like I could feel it without knowing that's what she was ultimately trying to accomplish. She said, I think out of all the Florence and Machine songs, it's sort of the purest sentiment of why I do it, distilled into why music is so important to me. She's so well spoken too. Why I need it. Why performance is so important to me. Sometimes you just know a song is working. When we started playing it before it had even come out, just this ripple started in the audience of people catching onto the chorus and starting to move. It was one of those moments where I was like, oh, this is a special one. This is really hitting something in people, and that's so magical for me. That's when the celebration starts. Oh, I like this guy. Breaking down is cured from depression. It sounds like a song for the end credits of a film, but the ones where you stay seated until the end because you're stunned by how the film has touched your heart and changed you as a person. Song of the year. In fact, this song came out the same day as Russia Doll S2. Don't know what that is. Imagine this live. Yeah, I'm sure it was awesome. Okay. On to track 3, titled Choreomania.
And I am freaking out in the middle of the street with the complete conviction of someone who's never had anything actually really bad happen to them. But I am committed now to the feeling. I don't know how it started, don't know how to stop it. Suddenly I'm dancing to imaginary music. Something's coming, so out of breath. I just kept spinning and I danced myself to death.
Yeah, her voice is unreal.
Something's coming, so out of breath. I just kept spinning and I danced myself to death.
Love the breath.
This is the end, and I'm thinking about her driving around in the backseat of a car. I'll be your demon daddy. And they speak to you, 'cause they speak to me too. The pressure and the panic, you push your body through. Something's coming, so out of breath. I just kept spinning and I danced myself to death.
The production on this album is it's just
Something's coming, so out of breath. I just kept spinning and I danced myself to death.
they captured something special.
You said that rock and roll is dead, but is that just because it has not been resurrected in your image?
Oh, what you think it should be. Un momento, por favor. Man. There's just so many wonderful layers to the songs, you know? And again, I mean, even just from a technical standpoint, whoever mixed and mastered this, top notch, dude. Please tell me this won some awards. I mean, it's fighting for one of my favorite things I've heard this year. Choreomania was one of the first songs written for Dance Fever. Could be seen as the record's title track, since it was named after a dancing plague. Excuse me? A dancing plague? The dancing plague of 1518. Scientists and historians still aren't sure what led people in Strasbourg to dance themselves to death? What? The hysteria kicked off when a woman known as Frau Truffia stepped into the street and began to silently twist, twirl, and shake. She kept her solo dance-a-thon for nearly a week. Before long, some 36 other Strasbourgers had joined in. By August, when did she start? July. By August, the dancing epidemic had claimed as many as 400 victims, with no other explanation for the phenomenon. Local physicians blamed it on hot blood and suggested the afflicted simply gyrate the fever away. What the hell? A stage was constructed and professional dancers were brought in. The town even hired a band to provide backing music. It wasn't long before the marathon started to take its toll. Many dancers collapsed from sheer exhaustion. Some even died from strokes and heart attacks. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. You know, that just happens. The strange episode didn't end until September, when the dancers were whisked away to a mountaintop shrine to pray for absolution. This is wild. Is there a movie about this? The Strasbourg dancing plague might sound like the stuff of legend, but it's well documented in 16th century historical records. It's also not the only known incident of its kind. Similar manias took place in Switzerland, Germany, and Holland, though few were as large or deadly as the one triggered in 1518. Oh, cool. It's a short article. What could have led people? According to historian John Wall, the explanation most likely concerns Saint Vitus, Catholic saint who pious 16th century Europeans believed had the power to curse people with a dancing plague. When combined with the horrors of disease and famine, both of which were tearing through Strasbourg in 1518, the Saint Vitus superstition may have triggered a stress-induced hysteria that took hold of much of the city. Other theories have suggested the dancers were members of a religious cult, or even that they accidentally ingested ergot, a toxic mold that grows on damp rye and produces spasms and hallucinations. These freaking ads will not leave me alone, dude. They're everywhere, chasing me. Whoa, that is wild. Although it may first appear to be a COVID-related track, it was actually written before the pandemic hit. The weirdest thing about that song is that it was written before COVID. I started writing it in 2019, and very strangely, in the prescient ways that songs do, the ones that seem the most pandemic-y were written before the pandemic. And that happens to me quite a lot. However, the pandemic naturally found its way to the song. During the dancing plague, people took to streets in uncontrollable bouts of dancing, just thought it to be a sort of catharsis. Florence felt a similar feeling during the periods of lockdown, that dancing would release her from the anxiety of never touring again. The Rolling Stones stated in an interview that part of her felt like the pandemic was her being pushed for any prescience in her work and for wanting to rest for a while. In the very same interview, Welch talked about how dancing is important to her, saying, "I need the movement to move it out of myself. If I sit in the sadness, it doesn't go away." This directly relates to the chorus of Free, the song right before Choreomania, where the singer literally says that dancing sets her free, ergo Choreomania and Dance Fever. The last line in Free says, "I am free," which creates a direct link to the beginning of the first line in Choreomania, and "I am freaking out." When listening to Free and Choreomania in direct succession, this homophone creates a nearly seamless transition between the two songs, reminds the listener of the dark side of Welch's Dance Fever. Free and I'm freaking out. Then I got really fascinated by this dance plague that happened in the 16th century. It's known as Choreomania, and that's a song on the album. How did Florence Welch learn about the event? I was told about it by a friend, actually. My friend is a poet, and they had written a poem about it that I'm in. But they transferred the dancing plague into current-day Berlin, and it would be me dancing in a gay nightclub in Berlin with Patti Smith and Kate Bush. I was like, this is amazing. They told me about this dancing plague, and I went down such a rabbit hole with it. There was one specific outbreak in Strasbourg where 400 women danced themselves to death. What I found so fascinating about it is that they have so many theories as to why it happened. One of them, which I found really interesting, was that it could have been psychological because of stress, because of all the other plagues that were happening, how hard life was in the Middle Ages. It's like a psychological phenomenon, and I just really related to it. I love all this insight she's giving us. These cards are cool. I can hear God. I feel God in this Chili's tonight. I love The Office. Only Florence can make me feel like I'm floating between the middle of earth and the gates of heaven. All right. Let's see what we got here. Track 4. This is Back in Town. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you want access to hundreds of hours of additional content from dozens of artists, then check out my Patreon. That's where we host music videos, live performances, exclusive live streams, behind the scenes content, documentaries, and you get the ability to help vote on the albums we listen to here on the channel. Patreon is the best way to support this channel, and you can get access to the entire library, past, present, and future, for just $5. Join the amazing community that we're building over there, and I try to make it worth your time and your money. All right, let's get back into it. Choreomania would have been a cool title for this album too.
Never really been alive before. Always lived in my head. And sometimes it was easier, hungover and high. Back in town, why don't we go out? Let the rats run around our feet. The full moon shines down on these dirty streets. Back in town, why don't we go out to that 9th Street diner and carry on slowly, torturing each other, 'cause it's always the same. I came for the pleasure, but I stayed. Yes, I stayed for the pain.
That's so well written. I would eat another human to be able to sing like her. Not you, of course.
Like a movie scene, that halogen glow. And if you get spat on, that's just your big city baptism.
It's a night out on the town. The fun and the craziness, the good and the bad.
We go out and never go to sleep. Throw our dreams out, let them pile up on the streets. I thought that I was here with you. It was always just an empty room, 'cause it's always the same. I came for the pleasure, but I stayed. Yes, I stayed for the pain.
Choir, the organ, the bass. That did not feel like 4 minutes. What a well-crafted song, man. I'm gonna try to be sensitive to any transitions. They tend to come to a close and transition very well, but if there's anything that feels like an obvious transition, then I try to let it roll into the next track. I do think, like it even mentioned earlier, there are ones that do roll in very well, but it's usually if there's like a prominent sound at the end that I know is running all the way up to the end, I try to let it flow into the next one. And it's always fun when I go back and listen on my own time to really just let it kind of do its thing. All right, Back in Town. I think it was pretty straightforward, but let's see what's said about it. A love song to New York, the last song that Florence wrote before having to return to the UK after starting recording for Dance Fever. Back in Town was the last song I wrote when I got to New York. It's kind of a love song to New York and the amazing sort of manic loneliness New York creates. I'd pack my bags to go and make Dance Fever and spend a month in New York. My fantasy always tricks me to think that I'm going off to have a kind of romantic adventure. Excuse me. And it's always an empty room. So I was already questioning my relationship to songwriting and performance, and then wrote Back in Town and had to get out of town. Wow. It's a very ironic song because the album at this point had gone completely illogical. Free and Back in Town are the last ones that we wrote before I had to go home. So yeah, back in town, I'm back in town, and now I'm home. This song is very much like a New York love song as well, because New York was where I was going to record the record. It was such a complicated relationship with it. Because if you go to New York, it's kind of like being in a movie of your own life. You end up doing really insane stuff because none of it feels real. It feels like some kind of hyper reality. I think I was trying to describe that feeling. It's such a place of fantasy that I create what's going to happen there. New York. Yes, I did in fact stay for the pain. She's right. And if you get spat on, that's just your big city baptism is such a brilliant line. It really is. Who's sleeping on it? I'm not sleeping on it. This is one for the quirky girlies to gatekeep, he thinks. I mean, I don't consider myself much of a quirky girly. I'm on board with it. Okay. Track 5. This is Girls Against God.
What a thing to admit, but when someone looks at me with real love, I don't like
Acoustic
it
track.
very much. It kinda makes me feel like I'm being crushed. Is this something that you would like to discuss?
I wonder if that's a question toward herself.
To be alive, crying into cereal at midnight. If they ever let me out, I'm gonna really let it out. Listen to music from 2006 and feel kind of sick.
Is that like her own music?
Oh God, you're gonna get it. You'll be sorry that you messed with it. Remember being in that basement with Tom Vick. Everyone treated us like little pets. Oh, tell me it's not over yet. In my darkest fantasies, I picture
I get the horns in here.
waiting for your sound to stay, suppressing all my private rage. But as my sister said, I'd probably last 6 days. Oh, it's good to be alive, crying into cereal at midnight. And if they ever let me out, I'm gonna really let it out. When I decided to wage holy war, it looked very much like staring at my bedroom floor. Oh God, you're gonna get it. You'll be sorry that you messed with me. And I know I may not look like much, just another screaming speck of dust. But oh God, you're gonna get it. You'll be sorry that you messed with God. You're gonna get it. But it's good to be alive, crying in a cereal at midnight. Oh God, you're gonna get it. You'll be sorry that you messed with God. You'll be sorry that you messed with You'll be sorry that you messed with me. I met the devil. You know, he gave me a
Very interesting, man. I don't know. I felt like I was hearing horns, but then I don't know if it was the distortion that maybe was just on the guitar. It says Girls Against God was debuted live at Newcastle show. Reflecting on the impact it had on Florence's career and life, it is written as an ironic message to God. As Florence said on the song's second performance at Blackburn, this song has what I call big lockdown energy. She added, "For me, gigs and shows is where I find my experience of spirituality, and that's where God is for me, in these rooms with you. I've seen so much love in these halls from my 10 to 15 years. I was having a kind of complete spiritual collapse at the shutting down of all shows and all faces. I felt connected. So I kind of imagine an army of furious girls in their pajamas waging war on heaven because I was very angry. And I was in my pajamas most of the time. So this song is kind of about that feeling. It's called Girls Against God. Producer Jack Antonoff called it his favorite song on the album. Made remotely in the heat of lockdown, that song just brings me back to some of the best moments during a dark time. Dance fever forever." Florence talked about Girls Against God during the opening night of dance in Newcastle. It's kind of about that time where I wasn't sure if I would ever get to do this again. For me, singing and being here with you has always made me understand some sense of spirituality, where I understood the world, coming to concerts and seeing love. And in those years, I wasn't sure whether they would come back. Very angry at God. I wrote a funny song about it because I was like, as if God cares that I'm mad. So it was kind of a song about that, the artist's ego versus the reality of your own complete insignificance. Even to get to this show, there were so many moments where still this one show might not have happened. Before performing the song, she declared, "I would like to dedicate this song to everyone fighting for the right to choose. This is for you. I'm so angry for you, and I love you." That when someone looks at me with real love, I don't like it very much. Mood. Oh, it's kind of sad, you know? I mean, I can understand it's a very vulnerable thing, and then you don't know the intentions of the person ultimately. But I hope everybody can find somebody who truly, selflessly loves them. Leaving the lyric at "a golden heart or a golden voice" is such a serve. She knows she's that with that voice. Oh, I was curious. There are a few lines in here. Tom Veck. During the lockdowns, Florence reminisced of all things the pandemic took away from her, including music festivals and being on both sides of the stage. She specifically mentions feeling nostalgic about a time in her late teenage years when she attended the TDK Cross Central Festival between 2004 and 2007 and saw English musician Tom Veck perform. To BBC Radio 1, she stated, "Girls Against God is very much about the loss of live music, how I found meaning in that. My kind of confusion about that. Felt like I got this kind of nostalgia loop, but I was nostalgic for this specific period of time. Everything was starting. Florence and the Machine hadn't happened yet. There was an amazing energy about that time. Just remember it as a period of really wild freedom, actually. But even if the pandemic hadn't occurred, she still wouldn't be able to experience those times again, which not only made her feel old and nostalgic, as she's told Spotify, but also angry at God and her idea of him." So yeah, just remembering a time. I'm not familiar with Tom Veck. As always, surprise. English multi-instrumentalist musician who works under the name of Tom Veck. Okay. All right, this next one is track number 6, titled "Dream Girl Evil."
Well, did you miss me? Walk on water just to kiss me.
That was very soulful.
Oh, come and get me. Drag me out, destroy me. I've been expecting you, I'm ready. Deliver me that bad news, baby.
it's like idolizing somebody but kind of mistreating them, like the way an abusive person would do, by saying they love you or they want you, but then they don't treat you well. Oh, this line is hard.
Mommy make you sad.
Is she calling herself mommy or saying that he's got like mom issues?
Of every girl that made you mad, make me perfect, make me your fantasy. You know I deserve it. We'll take it out on me. Am I a dream girl? You think of me in bed, and you
There's so much attitude on this dude. Super cool. I know the comments are going to be crazy on this one, dude. I'm always so excited to get over to see what she has to say about each thing. I mean, I feel like I kind of got the gist of what was going on, like mommy issues. Satirical response to the expectations society places upon women, and to Florence being seen as both an angel and a devil. So it doesn't necessarily have to be relationship, but maybe just a bigger thing in general. She feels a great responsibility to both these visions and would like to be seen as simply human. Placed upon women, and to Florence being seen as both an angel and a devil. The song continues the album's themes of good versus evil, being a woman in a male-dominated world, and self-parody. She described the track as liberating to write. Yellow Jackets appeals to me because of my fascination with all things culty. I don't know what Yellow Jackets is. Oh, that was a show? Wildly talented girls' high school soccer team becomes the unlucky survivors of a plane crash deep in the Canadian wilderness. Oh. Elijah Wood? Let's go, dude. Might need to check that out. It appeals to me because of my fascination with all things culty, but also it portrays the violence of the hormonal shift of girlhood so well. I think there's something about being a young woman that feels very murderous. That's what I was trying to get with a song like Dream Girl Evil. When I see messy or violent or terribly behaved women, especially young women, there's a liberation to not have to try and survive by being good. Last summer at Electric Lady, this is what Maggie Rogers says about lending her vocals. I was downstairs and Florence had the upstairs studio. We decided to trade vocals and sang on each other's records. That's so fun. I'm on Girls Against God and Dream Girl Evil. Love you forever, Flo, you magical genius sorceress sister. Really cool art with this album. Campaigning for monstrous female rage. Florence is calling out all the men who only see women in binary terms, perfect or evil, no in between, and I'm so here for it. Finally, an anthem for manic creature nightmare women. Hearing it the first time, I immediately thought about the Madonna whore complex. Her diss track. All right. Moving to track 7. This is Prayer Factory. Bit of a darker track. Oh, it's more like a interlude.
All the things that I ran from, I now bring as close to me as I can. Gripping hotel sheets with gritted teeth, my montage of lost things, my shining trinkets of grief. Why don't you give me a call? Open my mouth, yes, I'll take it all. And all this work gone to waste. Made me climb and you shut the gate.
We'll let it roll. We'll check in on it after the next track. Track 9, Cassandra. 8, excuse me.
I used to see the future and now I see nothing. They cut out my eyes and sent me home packing to pace around the kitchen for scraps of inspiration, crying like Cassandra. I used to tell the future, but they cut out my tongue and left me doing laundry to thinking what I'd done. It wasn't me, it was a song. I used to move into the future, bring it all back, let it bleed through my fingers. A treasure in my hands, now I creep out when there's no one about, 'cause they put crosses on the door.
Sounds like it's about a witch.
Me out. The gardens overgrown, and I run in the middle of the road.
Or the idea of like suppressing the wild.
Well, can you see me?
Like a witch hunt type thing at first. A domestication.
They'll close their door. Well, you can take your complaints straight to the Lord. I try to still look with wonder.
Got a lot of religious tones in this album.
As the roses blue and the riot vines stare.
Some of the writing credits on that one is Kid Harpoon. That's an interesting name, Kid Harpoon. Thomas Edward Percy Hull, known professionally as Kid Harpoon, is a British songwriter, record producer, and musician. 2023, he won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year and Brit Award for Songwriter of the Year for his work on Harry's House. Oh, very cool. I just did Harry's House. That was my first time listening to Harry Styles. That's cool. Let's look at the track before this one, which would be Prayer Factory. Oh, there's nothing here for it. Somebody said yes, Kinky Florence. All the things I ran from, I now bring as close to me as I can, gripping hotel sheets with gritted teeth, my montage of lost things, my shining trinkets of grief. Why don't you give me a call, open my mouth, yes, I'll take it all. All this work gone to waste, you made me climb, then you shut the gate. In the closing line of Prayer Factory, Florence Welch talks about the feeling she discussed in Girls Against God of believing she was exiled from heaven by not being able to perform during the pandemic. She told Radio X this song is referencing the idea of getting to the gates of heaven, being shut on you as you get there. You made me climb, then you shut the gate. I've worked so hard. I've given so much of my life to performance, and now it's closed. She follows by explaining that although she wanted to expand the track to a full-length song, the abrupt end to the song nicely mirrored the halt on her production of music because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Those themes would be further explored in the next song, Cassandra, later developed in its following track, Heaven is Here. In a May 2022 interview with The Guardian, Florence Welch was asked about those things she ran from, to which she replied, "It's so boring. I want to be the one person who says it's not my childhood, it's not my mom." In a previous interview with Rolling Stone, she had already addressed the subject, saying, "My therapist always keeps trying to pull me back to talk about my childhood. I'm like, it can't be that simple. I'm complex. I'm different. It's not about my mom. I'm going to be the one person who it's not about their mother." Sounds like maybe it's about her mother. All right, Cassandra. Cassandra is a Greek mythological figure cursed by Apollo to tell true prophecies that would never be believed. She predicted the fall of Troy, but no one listened. Wow, it's very biblical in nature. It's almost like Ezekiel was basically given this really difficult message, and God even told him, like, you're going to go and you're going to share this message, and they're not going to believe you. But do it anyway. Talking to Spotify and Radio X, Florence speaks of how her music seems to anticipate future events. Just as Cassandra predicted the future only to be cursed to be thought of as a liar, Florence felt similarly when COVID-19 hit and condemned her to isolation. She questions whether her prescient songwriting calls these events by an act of the gods. Very songs that tell the future meant she could no longer do so. Florence flipped this thought, talking to Annabelle instead, commenting on how she usually can foresee the process of making a song and then singing it live. The pandemic suddenly meant she could write, but then couldn't predict whether it would ever be performed. Cassandra suffers from the fact that although she knows the future, no one believes her prophecies. I used it as a metaphor. Planning albums and tours has determined my entire adult life so far. As a result, I always knew what would happen in the next few months, sometimes years. With the onset of the pandemic, I suddenly couldn't foresee anything. I had not the slightest idea what the future would look like. The prophetic spirit of my songs had left me. I was fishing in the clouds, as if the gods had deprived me of my gift. What she said about Cassandra is that song scared me so much I almost didn't put it in the record because I thought it was too much. Cassandra was obviously like the Greek myth of the woman condemned to know the truth and tell the truth in prophecy, but never be believed. It's kind of like a bastardization of the myth. I just started to embrace at this point a much darker character, which is kind of me, but also the song itself. I was starting to think that the song was much more of a malevolent creature that's so hungry for creativity. I think that when things start to become scary for me, I become scary. The song truly like WTF. What does this mean? Or is that just a random typing on the keyboard? I must know. I think it's just them going. What if my entire computer just crashed? This was insanely breathtaking. Then instruments, the layers, the changes in the melodies, changes in structure, the song's different paces. The song truly was sculpted. So well thought out. Be right back. Need to do my laundry to the song to feel the full effect. Disturbed by everything on the song and this album. Florence was everything and more. It'd be interesting to listen back through it from that perspective. Okay. This is, let me make sure I'm correct here, track number 9, titled Heaven is Here.
Oh, bring your salt, bring your cigarette. Draw me a circle and I'll protect. Heaven is here if you want it. Oh, bring your boy, bring your bottle.
A little wild.
Open your mouth, pour it down his neck. Heaven is here if you want it. And all of the
That was so unique, man.
I went to the water, drank every drop. I turned your sea to a desert. My Catholic taste and the devil, all gilded and golden. Yes, I'm your girl. Hell, if it glitters, I'm going. And I ride in my red, and time stretches endless with my gun in my hand. No, I always my man. And every song I wrote became an escape rope tied around my neck to pull me up to heaven.
I don't think I've ever heard anything like that. Really interesting too, like the lyrics at the end seemed what's the word, like opposites? That's not the word I'm looking for. There's a smarter word for it. It says Heaven is Here is the second single. Wow, it's a brave song to let out as a single. Just because it's so different, you know, but maybe that's the reason too. And by this time, I guess you've got people who are fans and love her work, so I'm sure it was well received. Single was announced March 6th, just 2 weeks after King. On the announcement, Florence Welch explained that during lockdown, she wanted to make something monstrous, and Heaven is Here, the clamor of joy, fury, and grief. That is, the song was the first thing that came out. The artwork picture, just like the other one from this era, was taken by, Heaven is Here was the first song I wrote after an extended period of not being able to get to the studio. I wanted to make something monstrous, and this clamor, we read that. With dance studios also shut, it was my dream to one day create choreography with it. So it's one of the first pieces of music I have made specifically with contemporary dance in mind. Music video was shot in Ukraine, which led Florence Welch to state the following in its description. 2 of the dancers in this video are currently sheltering to my brave and beautiful sisters, Marine and Nastia. I love you. I wish I could put my arms around you. Strength. What were the inspirations behind the dancing? Oh, so that'll be fun to see. Yeah, again, that really reminds me of Aurora. Suspiria, the original and the remake, are my 2 favorite horror films together. I've never heard of this. Halls. A darkness swirls at the center of a world-renowned dance company, one that will engulf the artistic director, an ambitious young dancer, and a grieving psychotherapist. Some will succumb to the nightmare. Others will finally wake up. Yeah, some intense imagery there. I love the dancing. I was listening to Tilda Swinton do an interview about it. She pulled a lot of her references from a pre-Pina choreographer called Mary Wigman that led me to be really interested in her. She did this dance called Hexentans in 1914, which is Witch Dance, a reference for the Heaven is Here video. Ceremonial vibes. Production on this track is immaculate. The sound at the beginning of the outro that sounds like an arrow hitting a target. Florence whispering over what sounds like the vibration is one of the most witchy things Florence and the Machine has ever done. It sounds so unsettling and transports you right into another reality. It reminds me of the field recordings Heilungs use in their songs. Yeah, field recording, that's a good way to put it. I mean, it definitely sounds like something going on. I mean, the acoustic sound of it feels like obviously in a room. If there was maybe more ambient noise, like campfire or like a fire or something like that, it could feel like more out in the woods type thing. But that's kind of the vibe that it gives. Okay. This is track 10, titled Daffodil.
I couldn't help it, yes, I let it get in. The helpless optimism of spring. Worn out and tired, and my heart never tired, and the world bent double from weeping, and yet the birds begin to sing.
I wonder if it's like coming out of that season.
Try to be real, saw the future in the face of a daffodil. Daffodil.
I wonder if daffodils, I don't know what they look like. Are they the flower on the cover art here?
Daffodil. We practice resurrection every night.
Or possibly what she's wearing.
Under the moonlight and in the gloaming night, start to cry. You're a perfect pearl hung in the sky.
The moon.
There is no good. I drank all the blood that I could, made myself mythical, tried to be real, saw the future in the face of a daffodil. 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 Daffodil.
Like, there's no way nobody's used that as a movie. No, there's no way someone hasn't used that as a movie trailer song. That's kind of what that end. So in Daffodil, oh, it does kind of look like, let's see, the flower that's in the background on the cover art. Maybe. Okay, so the ones that got like the little teacup type thing. Are these the types of flowers that sniff Robin Williams' crotch? What? Yeah, this is the scene I'm talking about. No, okay, those are sunflowers. Come on. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about there. Okay, and then no, okay, I don't think those are the flowers that are in the back there. I also just realized, oh wait, I'm blocking it. I'd also just realized a few minutes ago that this is her hair. I thought she was wearing, it was like some sort of shawl. But no, that's her hair. Okay, so in Daffodil, Florence develops on the subject of finding happiness in small moments of life, as she previously did in Florence Machine's fourth studio album, Highest Hope. The pandemic took from her some of those small moments, such as walking out to get coffee and pick flowers. The daffodil is a small yellow flower, also known as narcissus, which was adopted as the national flower of Wales. It is also Florence's father's favorite flower, which made her interested in them. A few days after Dance Fever was released, Jack Antonoff, one of the record's producers, shared a photo of Florence Welch in studio with a bouquet of daffodils. Yeah, look at the wood paneling in this studio. Said I love to walk out of my house down the street and notice the seasons change. It was one of the things I missed the most during COVID. Now I feel such an enormous amount of gratitude to get a coffee that somebody else made and pick up some flowers. My dad told me once that his favorite flower is a daffodil, and I became very interested in daffodils. It's cute. They're narcissus, and they were used by ancient Romans as sleep medicine. Or maybe poison, I'm not really sure. I wrote the song Daffodil in peak pandemic, and I really thought maybe I had lost it because the chorus is just me saying daffodil. Like, do I need to pull it back? She also said, I thought I'd lost my mind. I remember coming home and being like, okay, I wrote a song today. It might be the most Florence and the Machine thing I've ever done. We're a year into the pandemic. I think maybe I'm losing it. The chorus is just daffodil over and over again. I was like, can you do that? That's a crazy thing to do. There were so many moments where I nearly gave up on this record. There were so many moments where I nearly went, it just feels like the way that the world is, this is just too hard to finish. The whole Dark Cruella vibe, mysterious, the production, that ending, another person just typing letters. Oh, is it the same person? That's funny. Yeah. See, you had me looking this acronym up. No, it's just you typing letters. I never thought a song called Daffodil could go this hard. Witchcraft and exotericism is often a source of inspiration behind Florence's lyrics. Many examples are given in songs such as Seven Devils or Witch. And in this album in particular, witchcraft imagery is a very present theme that very often serves as a metaphor. Florence seems to have recorded from the curse she was under only 2 tracks prior during Cassandra, and there she would sing, "I used to see the future and now I see nothing." Both songs make references to Greek myths. In the myth of Narcissus and Daffodil, which is another name for the flower, Heaven is Here is the track that connects them both and therefore might have something to do with the return of her powers. Florence is described as a clamor of joy, fury, and grief. Spring is commonly associated with optimism. Year into the pandemic, at the time Daffodil was written, cases were still spreading, new variants of virus kept emerging, and families mourned. But another spring had arrived. Florence Welch couldn't help but feel optimistic when seeing the daffodils after months of confinement. The relationship with spring is a development. Okay. She mentioned that part of Cassandra saying, think chronologically, Cassandra was one spring, Daffodil was a whole year later. The roses have begun to bloom in Cassandra, and a whole year later the daffodils are blooming, and we're still in the pandemic. There was also this collective realization that this thing was going to go on for a long time. Florence stated for Spotify the song ends in heavy instrumentation to symbolize the background of chaos that COVID-19 continued to inflict despite the arrival of spring in 2021. It's going to be such an interesting thing looking back. Like if you read that 20 years from now, you know? All right, this is track 11 titled My Love. So surprised how many like danceable songs are on here, which makes sense. It is Dance Fever. And I don't know if that's how her other music is.
I was always able to write my way out.
Let's go, dude. This is a bop.
Song always made sense to me. Now I find that when I look down, every page is empty. There is nothing to describe.
You're gonna get me on that meme.
Against the worrying sky, I pray the trees will get their leaves soon. So tell me where to put my life. Do I wait for time to do what it does? I don't know where to put my life. And when it came, it was stranger than I had ever imagined. No cracking open of heaven, but quiet and still. So tell me where to put my life. Do I wait for time to do what it does? I don't know where to put my life. So tell me where to put my life. Do I wait for time to do what it does? I don't know where to put my life. My arms empty, the sky's empty, the billboard's empty. My arms empty, the sky's empty, the building's empty.
It's almost like about isolation.
So tell me where to put my life. Do I wait for
One of these.
time to do what it does? I don't know where to put my life. So tell me where to put my life. Do I wait for time to do what
close out such an explosive track with just a little acoustic guitar there. Guitar. Wow, dude. That's a standout for me. There's just so much fun, dude. I love like kind of dance mix type music like that. All right. My love. Florence wanted this song to represent freedom in the form of dance. Hey, look at that. Dude, the few songs that she's like really mentioned dance got me dancing just naturally. Set in a nightclub, particularly in reference to the isolating nature of the COVID pandemic. According to a press release, My Love was originally written and recorded as an acoustic track, described by Florence as a sad little poem that recounts Welch experiencing writer's block and having a hard time adjusting to a world shifted. The song was later transformed by producer Dave Bailey into the energetic track that it is. My Love was just 3 days after Heaven Is Here, the album's previous single, accompanied by its music video. Sometimes the biggest dance songs, I think, have a really sad core to them. Yeah, for sure. And a lot of times I point to the Mike Posner song, I took a pill in Ibiza to show Avicii I was cool. If you listen to like an acoustic performance of that, it's such like a club hit. But if you listen to the lyrics and you listen to an acoustic performance of it, it's a really sad song. I wrote it, I think, in one of the first lockdowns, one of the really long ones. The poem I wrote was like, tell me where to put my love. Tell me where to put this feeling that I've had my whole life. And if the stage and performance doesn't come back and I don't know what I'll do with this feeling, this sadness, the alchemy of dance music is turned into something so euphoric. The release was exactly what I needed. I remember the first demo we had going home and dancing to it alone in my kitchen. Well, I danced to it alone in my office. It just gave me a moment of release. Been a really nice bridge between a lot of old work because I felt like a part of myself I actually hadn't touched on maybe since ceremonials. It's been really nice to go back and look at older work and bring those back into the set. That song has been just an amazing bridge throughout all the songs in the last 11 years. Yeah, all this tapestry artwork is really pretty. I always loved, I read to my kids every night for nearly a decade. And then obviously as they got older, things changed a bit, but I used to love books that had, art kind of like this as children's picture books. But you could tell there's just so much love that went into it and just unique textures. I bet these music videos are so fun, dude. Fighting writer's block by writing a song about writer's block. I could cry in the club to this. Certified banger. All right, track 12. This is Restraint.
Restraint. Am I quiet enough for you yet?
Same like the other, we'll let this roll and we'll revisit it. Track 13, The Bomb.
You said this could have been the best thing that ever happened to you. So you decided not to do it. Now you come back every summer like a carnivorous flower, and I stare at your hands in the heat, and I think they are the most beautiful thing I've ever
I feel like this is a conversation with her art, her inspiration, muse.
seen. To love you, you wouldn't want me, would you? Unavailability.
Dude, her voice control, so good.
Come here, baby. Tell me that I'm wrong.
Could be about a person, but I don't know.
I've blown apart my life for you, and bodies hit the floor.
Fitting with the rest of the album,
Break me,
it
shake me,
feels like it's the
devastate me.
relationship with
Come here,
her
baby.
muse.
Tell me that I'm wrong. I don't love you, I just love the bomb. Buildings falling is the only thing that turns me on. I've blown apart my life for you, and bodies hit the floor for you, and break me, shake me, devastate me. Come here, baby. Tell me that I'm wrong.
It's just such a cool, like, different offering on this album. I don't know what the word swooning comes to mind.
I just love the bomb. I let it burn, but it just had to be done. And I'm in ruins, but is it what I wanted all along? Sometimes you get the good, sometimes you get the song.
Oh. I see. So it sounds like it's the way that maybe like sometimes the toxic nature or like the self-destruction of artists at time, or the need for pain or relational drama to feed their art, or even self-destructive behaviors. I don't know if I said that already. Sometimes you get the girl, sometimes you get the song. I feel like that's what it's speaking about. The Bomb is a song about Florence's commitment to loneliness and instability. Its placement on the album follows the fairy tale storyline of Dance Fever. Florence struggles through the process of wondering whether she wants to stop touring, but on this track describes how the instability of producing and touring her music is irresistible. Despite the life of consequences it has for herself, her partners, friends, and family. Given Florence's tendencies to want to hold on to her most vulnerable track, she almost removed this track from the album, decided against it due to protests from friends and family. So there's a whole lot of nods, I think, to the previous records. All three of them are in this album, which is nice because I feel like somehow I'm bridging the gaps between all of them on this record. I like all the things I've been interested in. This song is nodding to what I was thinking about in terms of an unavailability in people, and High as Hope, and songs like Big God, with like the obsession of someone who will never text you back. Why is the person who creates the most space and gives you nothing the most appealing person? And really, that's because if you're a songwriter, they give you the most enormous space for fantasy, and you can write anything you want because they don't really exist. Every time I think in my life I've been in a stable place, something or someone will come and be like, how do you feel about blowing all this up? It's also a fear of growing up and a fear of getting older. Because if you regenerate yourself constantly through other people by blowing up, changing everything, you never have to face aging or death. It's interesting. I don't love you, I just love the bomb. Bye. I'm in ruins, but it is what I wanted all along. Sounds so much like Maybe I Was Always More Comfortable in Chaos of St. Jude. These ones are shaking, sobbing, throwing up. Best one on the album. Well, sometimes you get the girl. Sometimes you get a song. Get the song. Okay. Oh, we wanted to look at Restraint real quick. Well, I don't know if you do. I do. The short-lived Restraint was first featured in the trailer for the music video to King, making it the first Dance Fever song heard by the public. The track acts as an extension of My Love's ending and showcases Florence Welch's vocal prowess. Angelic chants, petrifying gasps follow Welch questioning herself if she has learned self-control for someone. With its 48 seconds, Restraint is the shortest song ever released by Florence and the Machine. Croaky voice. Shells. Between the lyrics and the bitterness in Florence's voice, this song reminded me powerfully of how I felt every day in my abusive relationship. Always shrinking down, smaller, yet never small enough to avoid threatening his fragile ego. Florence questions what being a female musician looks like compared with her male counterparts. Themes also seen with King. Florence mentions that she purposefully lowers her voice in these lines to emulate rock and roll greats like Iggy Pop, again highlighting the distinction between being a female and a male performer, what that means for her performance. Florence also included this as a self-parody and a dig at her critics. She comments that she always remembers the most negative reviews, despite the positive reviews outweighing these. Well, yeah, that's just true of us, most of us as humans anyways. Unfortunately, that's like 99 positive, 100 or 1 negative, and that negative one eats at you. Often her music is criticized being too overwhelming. As a jibe at this, Florence included Restraint after the massive, okay, wow, it's too overwhelming. Have I learned Restraint? Am I quiet enough for you yet? I'm glad I read that. That's really insightful. Okay. This is track 14, titled Morning Elvis. See how she chooses to close this project out.
When they dressed me and they put me on the plane to Memphis, well, I never got to see Elvis. I just sweated it out in a hotel room, but I think the king would have understood why I never made it to Graceland. The bathroom tiles were cool against my head. Pressed my forehead to the floor and prayed for a trapdoor. I've been here many times before, but I've never made it to Graceland. And if I make it to the morning, I should have come with a warning. And if I to the stage, I'll show you what it means.
I wonder if it has to do with like panic attacks or anxiety? Fears?
Will pick me up in New Orleans, pinned in a bathroom stall. Pick me up above my body, press my corpse against the wall. I told the band to leave without me. I'll get the next flight, and I'll see you all with Elvis. If I don't survive the night, if I make it to the morning, I should have come with a warning. And if I make it to the stage, I'll show you what it means to be saved. And after every tour, I swear I'll quit. It's over, boys, now this is it. But the call, it always comes in the songs like children begging to be born. But oh, I guess I got my wish. But anything, anything, anything but this. If I make it to the morning, I should have come with a warning. But if I make it to the stage, I'll show you what it means to be saved. Oh, you know I'm still afraid. I'm still crazy and I'm still scared. But if I make it to the stage, I'll show you what it means to be spared. To be spared. To be spared. To be spared. To be spared.
Looks like she made it to the morning. So yes, one of my favorite projects I've heard this year, but also one of my favorite album closers. One of my favorite album closers I've heard, period. Man, she really brought that home so well, and her just even giving us, like, I feel like even some more vocal range than we've even heard throughout the album. Maybe it's because it was also set in such a kind of simpler track that her voice was just so big, beautiful on that. And really beautiful songwriting as well. You know, it took me a second to kind of catch on, but then, I mean, just the ties with Graceland and Elvis and him knowing what it feels like, the tile on the floors, and, you know, I'm assuming it's about anxiety and fear and things like that, and never growing out of that. The idea of performing and putting yourself out there and sharing your art and the vulnerability of all that. I mean, just all of the elements, like, it's really beautiful songwriting. Morning Elvis Dance Fever's closing track, written by Florence Welch, is a swelling confessional about a time of being so hung over to the point of missing a planned visit to Graceland, the home of singer Elvis Presley. The song meditates around the topic of sobriety and the challenges it presents in an interview. Okay, so it's primarily about alcoholism. Thought the way to hang on to your rock and roll roots to be the drunkest person in the room. The track ends with the sounds of a cheering crowd, which implies that Florence did make it to the stage as she sings throughout the song. Well, and I think, you know, it's interesting to take it either way, right? Because at first I was thinking maybe there was something in there about substances or whatnot, the tie to Elvis. But then at the same time, like, Elvis was also a performer, and so he went through anxieties and fears and all those different things as well. But it's interesting to hear from her standpoint, the idea just around sobriety. It says, I'm obsessed with Nick Cave. Who it is? Nicholas Cave is an Australian songwriter, vocalist, pianist, composer, and actor. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Cool. The performer he's obsessed with is Elvis. So that's how it feeds back to me. I was at home and stuck, and there was an Elvis documentary. It made me remember us when we were on tour in New Orleans. Would have maybe been on the second record. The wheels were really coming off for me in terms of drinking and partying. Just got very in the spirit of New Orleans, was at a party and just went, you all leave without me, I'm staying at this party. Ended up with my dress completely shredded because I'm always wearing these vintage things that basically just disintegrate. If you're on a rager, you will come back with nothing. You would have thought things were going so well for me. What was it about me that had such a death wish? Had such little care for myself. Wow. Didn't matter what I had done the night before, the week before, what chaos I had created. I knew if I got to the stage, something there would save me. Wow, and that I would be absolved. That song is about that feeling, but also a testament to all the performers I've seen turn pain to something so beautiful. Our sober queen has come so far and gave us the album of the year. What an insanely beautiful ending track to a devastatingly charming record. Insanely beautiful outro. Yeah, really was. Okay. Let's talk a couple of closing thoughts. Man, this album was such a mood. Fun, thoughtful, scary at moments, but just this its own thing. Really interesting. It's a masterful work of art, thematically, lyrically, musically, vocally. And you can tell it's from someone who's been in the trenches of making music, of songwriting, of living, and knows what they're doing. I feel like really has a master of their craft and what they're wanting to communicate. And she just did really, really well. Such a cool experience going through this. And thanks for going through it with me. Because this one was voted in as a Patreon pick. I think I mentioned that at the top. So thank you to the Patreon community. You guys always pick the best stuff. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What are standouts for you? If there's things that maybe I missed, we'll have good conversation there. And again, if you want to, you can check out Patreon, hundreds of hours of extra content from dozens of artists, as well as the opportunity to vote on some of the albums we listen to. We're building a great community over there, and it is the best way to support this channel. We'll work to get the content up from Florence and the Machine. So looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. Thanks for being with me for this one. I hope to see you in the next one, because we're eating good.